I do not envy those guys. Oh, hi there. I'm the Evangelist. I want to make anime appeal to a broader audience by comparing it to a familiar genre, theme, or Western work. And today, we're turning the meta level up to 11 for the anime about making anime. Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken. And since most anime is outside the purview of SAG, AFTRA, and the WGA, you can watch it guilt-free. And by seeing just how much work goes into something like anime, maybe you'll leave with an appreciation of what those folks are striking for. As for what Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken is about, Midori Asakusa has been enthralled with animation since childhood, to the point where she frequently info dumps on her money-grubbing, entrepreneurial friend, Kanamori. Not that I've ever info dumped on anybody. But during this neurodivergent spiel, they notice a classmate being harassed by an adult. Turns out she's the model, Tsubame Mizusaki, and the suit is her bodyguard. Mizusaki wasn't in danger, she was trying to watch the same anime movie, but that's something her parents forbid, and the suit was just doing his job. Poorly. After escaping from the weeb haters, Asakusa and Mizusaki realize that they're kindred spirits, but they have opposing skills. Asakusa loves world building and background drawing, while Mizusaki would prefer to draw characters and their movement. And since Kanamori can smell when there's money to be made, it leads to the creation of the Eizouken, film association. So you might notice that Eizouken looks a little different than your run-of-the-mill anime. And you might even feel the itch to call me a hypocrite because I won't evangelize One Piece due in part to the creator's artistic style. And I refuse to concede that point, because Eizouken's artistic style, to my mind, is on purpose. Asakusa, as the most whimsical and passionate protagonist, has a character model to match. She kind of reminds me of Ponyo when she's going in between being a fish and a child, and now you can't unsee that either. Mizusaki's model is classic anime, big, dark eyes, the practical bob, and it makes sense, both in the context of her being a professional model, and that she is also extremely passionate about anime, specifically character models. As for Kanamori, being the grounded one, I feel like the more realistic grimaces, the freckles, the gangly teenage frame, all reflect her personality and pragmatism. And this video's intro does Kanamori a disservice. She's more of a project manager and has the unfortunate task of herding these two cats. Fucking artists, man. And while it's easy to poo-poo management, I personally vibe the most with Kanamori. Despite graduating with a focus in theater performance, I spent almost 4 years double majoring in theater and actuarial science, math scholarship and everything. Nerd! So with that in mind, I'd like to say the best part of Eizouken's art style is when they change it to represent the creative process, the meta I mentioned earlier. Rough sketches stand in for backgrounds while the girls imagine themselves in the worlds they're creating, a result that their classmates actually get to see firsthand by episode 4, from solar punk cities to robot versus monster fights, and beyond. Being a fly on the wall of their storyboarding process is half of the fun, and if this shifting animation during the middle of the episode sounds odd, it's really not. Other animated works have done this too, from old school Looney Tunes, to Bob's Burgers, to the second best Bing Bong scene in Inside Out. I don't really want to talk about the best Bing Bong scene without my therapist present. Let's be honest though, ideas are cheap. We've all dreamed about being an astronaut, but to be one you have to be smart, fit, in good standing with your government, and I think I meet maybe one of those requirements. FBI, open up! Being an artist is similar, at least as far as discipline and study, and these two walk the walk. They have countless practice drawings, understand the tools of the trade, and get into the weeds on drawing theory? But don't let that intimidate you. Eizouken explains these concepts in fun and visual ways. We explore hand-drawn images being flipped to simulate movement, computer software that fills in missing frames using AI, and how background and foreground layering works. It's kind of why you could always tell what was going to move in Hanna-Barbera or Tom and Jerry cartoons. And as the club's reputation grows, sound effects and even dubbing make their way into the story. We go from silent animation to goofy human-made sound effects to a legit sound library and cast. As fun as the laser sounds are in the Lego movies, they won't work for every story and genre. And I'm leaving poor Kanamori out in the cold again. While not an artist, she acts as an executive producer for the other two. She sources money and supplies, she balances artistic merits versus realistic deadlines, because no, you can't work 48 hours in a day to meet the deadline, just so you can hand draw the art. Anyway, budgets, timelines, sponsorships, outsourcing help. While not as glamorous as turning a few pencil lines into an alternate dimension, it's a vital part of any endeavor, artistic or otherwise. And the other half of why I love Eizouken is because it strikes the balance between unleashed creativity and these realities of making art. As of this video, one of the biggest battles in that arena is the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strike. Being like Kanamori, I can understand, at least on the surface, why a company might push back on those strikes. Wait, hang on! I'll admit right now, I'm not in these unions, but I do have friends and colleagues that are, and, based on the information I've received so far, I'm with the unions this time. And I say this time because depending on what you're artistically striving for, the union could get in the way. As an example, less than 5 years ago, SAG and AFTRA announced flexible rates for independent or low-budget games in order to allow their union members to work on them. Because before that agreement, they simply couldn't. And one of the leaders of that indie game agreement is the voice actor Crispin Freeman. He's, been in a few things. And Mr. Freeman has bumped into this union-non-union problem before. Take his 2009 interview with theotaku.com. A fan was curious why he wouldn't reprise a role in one of the video game franchises he did, and his response was effectively, the folks recording the new game didn't ask him, probably because it wasn't a union gig. And since it was non-union, he couldn't throw his hat in the ring. For any of the older anime fans like me, it's probably why you haven't heard Mr. Freeman in too many anime lately. Funimation, Crunchyroll, now both owned by Sony, are a non-union shop. Now that doesn't mean they won't honor a SAG or AFTRA contract, but they have no obligation to either. And if you're concerned about what this means for the anime, Eizouken doesn't get into these union or non-union issues. They are in high school, after all. Though I'm pretty sure that violates the union rules. Aside from urging you to watch one of the best anime from 2020, I want Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken to shine a light on just how much passion, effort, and collaboration creating a piece of art takes. And that those folks get to have safe working conditions, and to be paid for their work. How much? Well, that's kind of the rub of the whole strike now, isn't it? Which is why I got the input of an old friend. And be cool, my guest is three-dimensional.
Hi, my name is Erin Newfer, and I am an actress and a proud SAG-AFTRA member. I have been a member of SAG for 5 years, and you can see my work on HBO Max's Julia. I'm also in the upcoming Showtime show Fellow Travelers, and I've been on Law & Order, Blue Bloods, blah, blah, blah.
Hi, Erin. So, why would anyone want to join SAG or AFTRA?
It's actually pretty easy to overlook everything that the union does for the actor, because they have negotiated essentially every aspect of my contract, and I can take that for granted. That includes base pay, that includes health and pension, that includes residuals. And unless you're being abused on set, which fortunately I have never been, there's no real reason to call SAG and have them intervene on your behalf. But I do personally know several actors who have been abused, whether that's poor working conditions, they're not getting paid, they're getting underpaid, and they have called SAG personally, and SAG has fought for them on their behalf. They have an entire department of people who can help you do that.
So before or after joining SAG, have you had any highs or lows working in the industry?
did have some really bad experiences before I joined the union of people taking advantage of me on set. Um, that is, it's too long really to list how much I was taken advantage of, but those boundary crossings include improper payment, no payment, sexual abuse on set, physical danger due to stunts that I should not have done. One time I had to swim in a lake in the middle of January, and the only thing that they had to warn me was a thrift store trench coat that smelled like mothballs and body odor. And I would sit in a chair outside after having gotten out of the water, and that's all I had to keep me warm.
That sounds awful. I'm sorry. Are there any final thoughts you want to add?
The companies that we work for are out to save money, and they will cut corners if they can. And it's up to the union to make sure that those corners that they're cutting are not violating the basic needs of the actors involved. So I am a proud SAG-AFTRA member. I am very much pro-union, and I will be on strike until we get what we deserve. Thanks.
Thanks again for your time, and be safe on the picket lines, Aaron. I know some of you are thinking, well, I do this job and I don't get enforced breaks. And while I'd argue that two wrongs don't make a right, and you also deserve humane treatment, I've got one final point for you. A large part of the strike seems to revolve around this use of AI in order to circumvent needing the actor at all. And if you think that's not technologically possible, did you just miss the Tupac hologram concert? AI is the worst it will ever be, and while we all thought it'd come for factories or trucking first, it turns out it's here for the artists. If SAG and the WGA fail, we're setting a dangerous precedent for the rest of us. If empathy doesn't motivate you, self-preservation should. So, since you're still here despite or maybe because of my populist ideals, if you want to dive into a world of creativity while achieving a new sense of appreciation for anime, you should watch Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken. There are links in the description on where you can stream it. And if you want to know how to support SAG-AFTRA and/or the WGA members, there's links in the description on how you can do that too. Thank you for watching, your support, and I'll see you next time.